This episode contains chapters so you can more easily and quickly skip to the parts that are relevant for you. Every podcaster right now feels like they're being told, you need to do video. Well, look, I've just come back from the Independent Podcast Awards where I was a head judge and I got to meet a bunch of indie creators who were finalists in the category that I was judging. And in this episode, I'm going to relive with you the experience of watching the penny drop in real time when we unpack together exactly what investing in video really asks of you and what it really returns to you. Spoiler alert, if you're an opportunist video bro, stop this content right now. You're gonna get triggered. So look, today I am breaking down for you the myth, the reality, and the what to do's instead while you're saving yourself thousands of hours and cash. Plus, I'll tell you why I still publish a video version of this and why I'm not being a massive hypocrite by doing that. Here's the pitch people are hearing all the time, mostly on LinkedIn, but on other platforms as well.
Trust me, the engagement metrics on video podcasts are skyrocketing. You need this visibility.
Okay, I'm convinced. Let's maximize the exposure.
Well, look, technically that's true. YouTube is searchable, but searchable isn't the same as getting found. Between you and the audience sits an algorithm, ruthless watch time mathematics, click-through rates on thumbnails, retention data and curves, end-screen journeys, title and description optimizations, chapters, and comment strategy. Yeah, that's a thing. If you don't treat YouTube as its own beast entirely, with its own editing standards and best practices, you will not be seeing that magic spike you were promised by the gurus. See, the thing is, the audio side has just as much discovery opportunity. You've got search bars inside Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and your titles, descriptions, episode summaries, keywords, they all matter there just as much. If your episode's called Episode 14, A Chat with Jamie, well look, you're invisible everywhere, no matter what you're doing. So at the awards, I chatted with a particular indie host who just won for a beautifully crafted lifestyle show. Look the show up, it's called Floating Space, hosted by Katie, who is just magnificent with the sound design. Immersive sound design, very much an audio experience. And she'd been told at some point, as every indie podcast creator is told, hey, you should do video. When I said, look, Katie, your show is an audio-first work of art. Video isn't going to suddenly 10x your audience no matter what these gurus are saying. And I told her that I've seen business shows sink cash into video with little to no benefit over being audio only. And she just stared blankly at me. Are you joking? It clashed with everything the YouTube gurus had been telling her. And that's the shock that most indies feel. They assume video equals bigger audience. But unless you invest time, practice, and consistent YouTube optimizations, you'll likely split your energy and dilute your audio, which is the very thing that your listeners actually love. That's what they want primarily. They don't care that you're also doing a video version of this because they're probably not watching it. Yep, I can hear what you're saying, but Neil, you publish video too. And you may even be watching this right now if you're on YouTube. Here's the deal. Yeah, I do. And here's why that's not hypocrisy. Access preference. Look, some people only consume via YouTube. I want a presence there so that those people can still hear this show. Because I know what I'm doing with the recording process, getting video and audio at the same time, I know how to do that so it doesn't impinge on the audio experience. And if I didn't know how to do that, this would be a podcast with a YouTube version that's just a static image and a waveform animation, just like every other lazy podcaster that the gurus love to shame into parting with their hard-earned. Also, experimentation is my jam. My growth plan is audio first. Video is a bolt-on. It's not something I'm looking at to grow the show. And honestly, my YouTube views, they're not great because I'm not running a full YouTube machine. I'm not doing bespoke edits, thumbnail factories, hook-first scripting, community comments, all that stuff. I do put some effort in, and I've studied the best practices. But to be honest, when it comes to my own stuff, investing an extra 4 hours per week just for maybe an additional 25 views, it doesn't feel worth it to me. And that's kind of my point. If you don't go all in, don't expect all in results. If you've been feeling video pressure and you're breathing a little bit easier now, well, good news first of all. Here are your immediate next steps to leverage this breathing room that I've just gifted you. Option 1. Better than nothing YouTube presence. So export what they call an audiogram. That is your artwork and a waveform and chapter markers. It's better than not being there, and you can easily make these in either Headliner or in Descript. Upload to YouTube with a clear search-friendly title. In other words, present the problem, the benefit, and the main keyword. Put in a proper description with key phrases and links, timestamps, and end screens pointing to a playlist. Except that this is mainly for access, not discovery. So in other words, you're ticking a box to be nice and audience-friendly for some of those that might be harder of hearing, and it's not to inflate your ego or your results. Option 2, skip the video element entirely and grow faster in audio, which is probably my recommended route for most indies. Fix your episode titles this week. Make them searchable and specific. In other words, how to, or why X fails, or 7 ways to achieve X. This is the language that your listener types at 11 p.m. Maybe not the specific numbers, but the how-tos. Also, tighten your intro. Earn the attention in the first 7 to 15 seconds. Give a clear promise and then deliver on it. It's amazing how many podcasters are not doing that. Also, upgrade your show page SEO. In other words, the stuff that Apple Podcasts and Spotify browsers are seeing, and on your main website. You do have a main website, right? You need a main website. Make sure your core keyword appears in the title, first paragraph, and at least one of the H2s in your episode description. Above all this, what you can do is you can get to the head of the queue with a podcast improvement audit to identify where you're losing listeners, what's unfindable, and what you should fix first. I'll give you a priority list so you stop guessing and start growing. If you fancy booking onto this, go to podmastery.co/light. That's LITE. podmastery.co/LITE. Here's the bottom line. It's not worth trading hours of video grind for a handful of distracted viewers that are probably not going to be loyal to you anyway. They're just looking for that specific content. So make your audio so good that people are recommending it and you're growing that way. Podcasting experiments. So recently, I played around with Descript's AI translation dubbing. I ran a recent episode through it to test a Spanish dub of this show. I was left feeling like none of it was that great, honestly. Yeah, it's clever tech. In an ideal world, it would be a nice to have, but it's not ready for publication. Here are some of the issues that I found. Lip sync drift. Yeah, the Bruce Lee effect. It's very primitive, this tech still. So you did find that there were some parts where the AI couldn't match what was being said with the video. And so you had a lot of kind of Enter the Dragon style, or you want to fight? Fight me kind of stuff. A lot of the keyframes were ignored as well. So my music bed absolutely drowned my voice in places. Also, worth mentioning, it's bloody expensive to do. Eats all your credits. You're going to find it's going to eat up your monthly budget within one episode. Oh, and it took an age to render. Here's what I do instead. Translate your transcript properly. Publish it as a localized blog post with an embedded audio player and then use that to reach other languages while keeping your quality intact.
Podcast feedback. Podcast feedback. Podcast feedback.
Okay, this is the part of the show where we feature your questions, and this week's email is from Layla, I want to say, in Auckland, New Zealand.
Hi Neil, I binged your episodes recently and found the episode on crafting stronger podcast intros using the plot idea. I'm rewriting my old intros now, but how will I know if the new intros are actually working?
2 checks you can do. Look at your retention curve. So look at your hosting analytics within the platforms, i.e. Apple Podcasts, Spotify for Creators, Amazon Music dashboard, and anywhere else that you're going into that granular data to find out what's happening in platform. Find out what your most popular platforms are, first of all, and then go into them. Then look at the first 60 to 120 seconds of the episode and see what the graph is doing. If drop-off decreases compared to your prior episodes, then your new intro is doing its job. Here's a qualitative signal you can look for. If you're building an email list on your podcast and you know that there are 3 listeners that listen to most of your episodes, send them an email asking them what the promise that you made in your first 10 seconds of a specific episode was. If they paraphrase that promise relatively quickly, you've nailed your clarity. By the way, if you haven't heard that episode, it's back in the archive on podmastery.co. Go for The Power of Plot for Great Podcast Intros. And there's a helpful companion download as well at podmastery.co/intros. Worth a listen if your openings feel a little bit on the flabby side.
Podcasting Insight.
Okay, so let's wrap up then what we've talked about in this episode. And here's your 1-week plan. We want to make sure that we are leveraging the extra time that we've got from deciding not to put a heavily focused YouTube version of our podcast out into the world. So here's what you can do instead. Rename the next 2 episodes that you publish with problem-benefit titles. Re-record or tighten your cold opens to deliver a strong promise in 10 to 15 seconds. Refresh your show notes, primary keyword up top, give one clear call to action in your episode description. Optional, make an audiogram for YouTube so you can get access to those other audiences. That's if you want the box ticked without the time sink. And first and foremost, book a podcast improvement audit if all this sounds really complicated and you want a precise, sorted roadmap, just those fixes that are going to move the needle for you. This is the deal. Podcasting doesn't have a discovery problem. Your ideal audience is just around the corner for you. Most shows just have a creator not able to leverage existing platforms properly in order to get found problem and a focus problem. If the idea of video has been distracting you, you're officially off the hook now. Thanks so much for getting involved with this. I'm Neil Velio, the Podmaster. Go make something worth looking for. And if this episode helped you, share it with another indie podcaster that you know who's been probably freaking out because they've been told that they should do video. Until the next episode, good luck in your journey towards attaining Podmastery.